The weird world of Tim Hollis, it's muscles, mahogany, mighty milkshake, green kangaroo, and trust me, they're really cool, they're really nice and really fun. A role model for everyone, the Tim Hollis's creation of Weird World.
And now our host, Tim Hollis.
Thank you, fake audience again. Well, this is our second program in a row where the audience is actually working remotely. So we'll be visiting with the audience here in just a minute, and I know you'll want to meet some of the interesting people we have this time. And you know, my usual co-host, Muscles Mahogany, is still on her vacation in the Great Smoky Mountains, but she sent us another one of her friends from up there to fill in for her.
Howdy, folks. I'm Lulu Legs.
Yes, and I think it's pretty obvious how you got that name.
You mean Lulu?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just joshing ya. Everybody in them hills knows about these legs of mine.
Mm-hmm.
There ain't a critter I can't outrun, outkick, or outfight with these bad girls.
Well, I can believe it too. Well, besides sending you, Mahogany sent us a letter about her trip, and I know that this is going to be very interesting for you. It's about a fella that she met up there named Esau Buck. Have you ever heard of? Do you know Esau Buck? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. He's from up there in Pigeon Forge, just as like you. All right. Well, this is how her letter goes to describe this. She says that this old farmer back in the Smoky Mountains hired a young fella to work for him named Esau Buck. Now, on the afternoon of the first day, they hauled up a load of poles for firewood and unloaded them between the garden and the barnyard. And the next morning, the farmer said, "Esau, I'm going to town today, and while I'm gone, you can saw up that wood and keep the old buck sheep ram out of the garden." Well, Esau went out to saw the wood, but when Esau saw the saw, he saw he couldn't saw it with that saw. He looked around for another saw, but that saw was the only saw that Esau saw, so he didn't saw the wood. Mm-hmm. You understand that? Well, when the farmer came home, he asked, "Esau, did you saw that wood?" Esau said, "I saw the wood, but I didn't saw it because when I saw the saw, I saw I couldn't saw it with that saw, so I didn't saw it." Got it? Well, the old farmer went out to see the saw, and when he saw the saw, he also saw that Esau couldn't saw the wood with that saw. Well, when Esau saw that the old farmer saw he couldn't saw with that saw, Esau took the axe and chopped up some poles and made a seesaw. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is making perfect sense, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, the next day, the farmer bought a new buck saw for Esau Buck, and when he came home, he hung the new buck saw for Esau Buck on the sawbuck by the seesaw. Well, about that time, Esau Buck saw the old buck in the garden eating the cabbages, and while he was driving him from the garden to the barnyard, Esau Buck saw the new buck saw on the sawbuck by the seesaw, and Esau stopped to examine the new buck saw. Now, when the old buck saw Esau Buck was looking at the new buck saw on the sawbuck by the seesaw, he made a dive for Esau, missed Esau, hit the seesaw, and knocked the seesaw against Esau Buck, who fell on the buck saw on the sawbuck by the seesaw. You're following all of this, aren't you? Yeah, well, let's find out. This is how the story ends. Well, when the old farmer saw the old buck dive at Esau Buck and miss Esau and hit the seesaw and knock the seesaw against Esau, and he saw Esau fall on the buck saw on the sawbuck by the seesaw, he picked up his axe to kill the old buck, but the buck saw him coming, dodged, and countered on the old farmer's stomach, knocking him over the seesaw onto Esau Buck, who was just getting up off the buck saw on the sawbuck by the seesaw. The old buck had crippled Esau Buck and broken the buck saw, the sawbuck, and the seesaw. Now, when the old buck saw the completeness of his victory over the old farmer and Esau Buck and the buck saw and the sawbuck and the seesaw, he quietly turned around, jumped back into the garden, and ate up what was left of the farmer's cabbages. The end. If anybody understood that, would you please write in and explain it to me? While I'm trying to figure that out, let's have a commercial, and then let's come back and meet the first half of our audience, okay? Okay.
Come enjoy our patio dining. Our daily specials. Our friendly staff and service. Our delicious desserts. More than just barbecue, Dearman's Barbecue. Since 1982, Come see us.
Well, folks, we're still working remotely with our studio audience here, and we're still here at the beautiful Carrie Tingle Center in McCalla, Alabama, with the people that were here for the Luau Fashion Show. And so we're going to meet these folks like we usually do. We're going to start with this lady with the beautiful hair on the front here. She's been spending the whole time trying to figure out what side to wear her hair on. So, what was your name?
I'm Suzanne.
She's Suzanne. All right. Well, it's very nice to meet you,
Nice to meet
Suzanne.
you, Mr. Hollis.
And that hair would look good no matter which side
Well,
it was on.
I like my
You know,
hair.
I used to have hair.
Well,
but,
I can share you with my hair.
well, I was going to say, if you ever cut any of that off, I'll just
Yeah.
glue it on.
Okay.
Okay.
It'll look good on you.
All right. Next on the front row, look at this little cutie. What is her name?
Raylan,
This is Raylan, and what is your name?
Natanya.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, I think some of your kids are models with that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, great. Well, I'm sure she's going to grow up to be one too, because I can see that she wants the camera so bad. What is your name?
Linda.
This is Linda. All right. I've always loved that name, Linda. And
Thank you.
all right. And you know, anyone who's named Linda has got to be A-okay with me. So, all right. When we come back later in the program, we'll be meeting the folks on the back row here. But for right now, we're going to go on to another segment, and we will see you very shortly. Well, this is the part of the show where normally I tell one of the stories out of Weird World that I wrote back when I was first starting out as an author. This time, just in honor of your visit, though, we're going to do a story that actually wasn't part of the Weird World series. I actually did another series of stories about a group of characters I called the Hillbilly Hares. And we won't go into why I thought that would be an appropriate story for, when you were here. But I'm going to show you what the main character in the Hillbilly Hare stories, that was Paul Hare. I'm going to draw him for you right here. And we're going to start off with his old straw hat like this. You probably know some folks that wear hats like that, don't you?
Not for you.
Okay. Well, they probably don't have ears that look like this. But, all right, we'll do that. And now we need to give him an expression like that, you see. And this kind of a mouth. And, of course, all right, now we're going to do his hands like this. Now he sort of has very poor posture, so he kind of slouches when he stands. Let's do something like that. And let's put his other leg in there. And of course, his cotton tail. And then, of course, nobody in the Smokies is complete without his long rifle there, you see. So that was good old Paul. And now we're going to hear just what kind of situation those hares got into up there in the Smokies. And, they may be somewhere right in your neighborhood. I don't know. But anyway, this is how the story goes. This goes back to probably about 1977 or so. In a remote section of the Great Smoky Mountains on the border between Tennessee and North Carolina, there was a family of rabbits who were known as the Hillbilly Hares. Now, Paul Hare had lived in those hills for as long as he could remember. Ma Hare had been married to Paul for as long as she could remember. And their son, Pumpkinhead, well, he'd been a little kid for as long as he could remember. Now, the Hillbilly Hares didn't have much money, and they lived in a broken-down shack in one of the many valleys of the Smokies, but their lives would have been most peaceful and quiet if it had not been for one little problem. You see, the Great Smoky Mountains are a national park, and individuals are not allowed to own property or live inside a national park. The hillbilly hares had been there for so long that they pretty much ignored this rule, and so did practically everyone who knew them. That is, except for 2 park rangers who had been trying to chase the rabbits out of the park for years. Manfred was a fox who was not quite as smart as he thought he was, and his fellow ranger McBar was a bear who was pretty much as dumb as he looked. Although there were plenty of other things a national park ranger could do that would have been more productive, Manfred and McBar spent most of their time figuring out ways to catch the hillbilly hares and get them off of park property. Now, can't you think of something better than to bother a family of rabbits up there? For example, take the time that Manfred told his partner, "We'll get those rabbits this time with our rabbit trap." "Oh, Manfred, did you say rabbit trap, Manfred? What sort of rabbit trap, Manfred?" drawled McBar. "This rabbit trap," grinned Manfred, showing the big bear a pair of rabbit masquerade costumes he had gotten at a local party store. The fox and the bear put on the rabbit suits, and they started creeping through the woods that surrounded the hare's cabin. "Now remember, McBar, we gotta act like we're rabbits too, and that way they'll never suspect it's really us." "Oh, Manfred, I will do a peachy job of acting like a rabbit, Manfred. What's up, Manfred? Doc?" You think that's going to fool anyone?
No.
Okay. Meanwhile, in the hare's shack, Pumpkinhead had come rushing in from the outside. "Ma!" he yelled. "There's a couple of big rabbits coming up the trail toward the house." Ma looked out the window, and she wasn't fooled for a moment. Them ain't rabbits," she said. "That's them 2 ranger fellers that's always a-sneaking around the place." Pa, as usual, was sound asleep with his old-fashioned rifle across his chest, but Ma shook him to wake him up. "Pa, the 2 rangers are back, and they're dressed up like some kind of phony rabbit," she yelled at her husband. Pa Hare rolled out of bed and took a look out the window. "I'll fix 'em," he decided, then went over to the old crank telephone on the wall. He rang the number for the ranger station. "Howdy, ranger station? We've caught them rabbits that are living in the park. Just come and get 'em." Watching from behind a tree, Paul could hardly keep from laughing out loud when 2 other rangers showed up and handcuffed Manfred and McBar, who of course were still in their rabbit suits. "But we're not rabbits," Manfred tried to explain. "We're rangers. Unhand us, you villains. Help police brutality." So, Ma, Pa, and Pumpkinhead went back to their peaceful lives in the hill country. But don't get too comfortable, because Manfred and McBar will no doubt have another idea very soon. You know, the kind of things that go on there in your neighborhood, I'll tell you,
It's pretty crazy.
Of course, I love the Smokies. You know, I actually did a book that was called Lost Attractions of the Smoky Mountains, and we'll put a picture of it up here on the screen just so people will know what it looks like. But yeah, that's a plug that's not being paid for, okay? That's a free plug. But now we're going to have a commercial that is getting paid for, so stay tuned and be sure you pay lots of attention to it, because someone paid money for you to see this.
Ahoy, mates! I wants to tell you about Operation Comics Relief. It's a non-profit which sends comic books to our soldiers and sailors overseas. It brings them a little bit of home. Find out how you can help Operation Comics Relief.
Well, welcome back. Now, in honor of having Lulu Legs with us here today, we're going to have a fitting cartoon, and we brought some of this hillbilly memorabilia out of the Hollis Museum to introduce it.
That's fine, but there's something I've always wondered about.
What's that?
What is a hillbilly anyhow?
I'd say a hillbilly is someone who dresses in raggedy clothes and never got much education, so they don't speak English very well.
Well, doggies, I ain't ever seen or heard anybody like that, though.
Yeah, right. Well, this cartoon is one of those kind that was made for theater audiences to sing along with it, and it builds gags around the song Old MacDonald Had a Farm.
For the land's sakes. I know that old man MacDonald.
Oh, yeah?
Back in them hills. He sold all his cows and went into the hamburger business.
Oh, yeah, okay. So, here we go with Old MacDonald Had a Farm.
Roll the film, y'all.
Folks, how about joining in with it and singing a little song? Let me see now. Oh, here's a right good one. Old MacDonald had a farm, eh? You remember that? Well, if you don't, maybe this'll help you. Just follow the bouncing ball.
Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on his farm he had some chicks, E-I-E-I-O. With a tick-tick here and a tick-tick there, here a tick, there a tick, everywhere a tick-tick. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on his farm he had some ducks, E-I-E-I-O. With a quack, quack here and a quack, quack there, here a quack, there a quack, everywhere a quack, quack, tick, tick here and a tick, tick there, here a tick, there a tick, everywhere a tick, tick. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O.
Let's hear the boys sing alone.
Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on this farm he had some cows, E-I-E-I-O. With a moo-moo here and a moo-moo there, here a moo, there a moo, everywhere a moo-moo, quack, quack here and a quack, quack there, here a quack, there a quack, everywhere a quack, quack, chick, chick MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O.
Now, only the girls.
Old MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O. And on this farm he had some mules. E-I-E-I-O. With a hee-haw here and a hee-haw there. Here and he, there, haw, everywhere hee-haw. Moo-moo here and a moo-moo there. Here a moo, there a moo, everywhere moo-moo. Quack, quack here and a quack, quack there. Here a quack, there a quack, everywhere quack, quack. Chick, chick here and a chick, chick there. Here a chick, there a chick, everywhere chick, chick. Old MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O.
Now, alternate.
Old MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O. And on this farm he had some pigs. E-I-E-I-O. With a like here and a like there. Here and like there, like everywhere, like. Hee-haw here and a hee-haw there. Here and he, there, haw, everywhere hee-haw. Moo-moo here and a moo-moo there. Here a moo, there a moo, everywhere moo-moo. Quack, quack here and a quack, quack there. Here a quack, there, quack, everywhere quack, quack. Chick, chick here and a chick, chick there. Here a chick there, chick, everywhere chick, chick. Old MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O.
Everybody sing.
Old MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O. And on this farm he had some turkeys. E-I-E-I-O. With a gobble gobble here and a gobble gobble there. Here a gobble, there a gobble, everywhere a gobble gobble. Like here and a like. Here iron like everywhere like. Hee-haw here and a hee-haw there. Here he, there, haw, everywhere hee-haw. Moo-moo here and a moo-moo there. Here a moo, there a moo, everywhere moo-moo. Quack, quack here and quack, quack there. Here a quack, there, quack, everywhere quack, quack. Chick, chick here and chick, chick there. Here a chick, there a chick, everywhere chick, chick. Old MacDonald had a farm.
Conga. Conga.
And here we are back with our remote studio audience. And we're going to start interviewing the people this time with this lovely creature down here on the end. You are a creature, aren't you?
I think so.
Okay, what was your name?
Lindley?
Lindley, that's a name you don't hear very often. In fact, I can't even make a joke about that one because I don't think I've ever heard that one before. But all right, and this fellow that's still wearing his Hawaiian lei here. Yeah, we've already talked to you earlier in the program there. Okay, she's gonna sing for us. What was your name?
Jim.
This is Jim, and where are you from?
Georgia.
Georgia, great. Love Georgia. I never can pass up the opportunity to say that my latest book is called Lost Attractions of Georgia. Plug. All right. And what is your name?
Allie.
Allie. All right. Boy, she's right up my alley. I'll say that. They could hear that joke coming on the mile away. All right. And on the Disney Channel, her partner used to be named Austin, but we'll... that was too long ago for any kids that might be watching. And finally, who are you?
My name's Summer.
Summer. It's only spring.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know.
Well, that's all right. We've got somebody named Spring that's been on the program before too. So yeah, we've had spring and summer. Now all we need is fall and winter, and boy, we'll have all the seasons covered here. But anyway, we're glad you were able to be here with us.
Thank you.
And show them that you got the lei on your wrist there. Yeah, look at there. He's got it on his neck. She's got it on the wrist. And I just don't have it going on at all. So anyway, we will be back in just a moment and with the rest of our program. And you're just not going to believe what's coming up next. I know I don't. Bye.
Now available, one of the most fascinating publications to ever spotlight amusement ride's second golden age. From the popular to the peculiar, hang on tight. Leaves no story untold. Order your hardback, softcover, or digital copy today at Etsy, Amazon, or your favorite bookstore.
Well, that just about wraps up our show for this time. Did you have fun while you were here, Lulu?
I'll say I did. It was more fun than a monkey in a supermarket, but now I better go. I'm supposed to catch that 4:15 bus for Pigeon Forge.
The 4:15, my goodness, it's 10 minutes after 4 now.
Oh no, if I don't catch that bus, I'll be stuck here.
A fate worse than death, huh?
I know what'll do it. Give me one of them protein bars Muscle and Cousin Bertie was talking about.
Okay, let me go over here and get one then. All right, here you go. There you are. Okay. Oh my goodness. Do you think this will help you make it to the bus stop on time?
I sure hope so. These legs ain't failed me yet.
Oh yeah, look at there. I think it's working. All right, look. Oh, look at there. Yeah. Looks like that did it all right.
Out of my way. I gotta catch that bus.
Oh, okay. Well, wait a minute. But whatever you do, don't forget to open the door. Well, is there anybody out there who can fix a hole in the wall? Oh boy. So long, folks. Be sure to watch our other episodes on YouTube and check out our Facebook page too. Oh, I'm just glad Lulu didn't run out through the museum. Oh, that would have been awful. See you next time, folks.
The weird world of Tim Hollis. It's muscles, mahogany, mighty milkshake, green kangaroo, and trust me, they're really cool. They're really nice and really fun. A role model for everyone. The Tim Hollis's creation of Weird World.
Promotional consideration furnished by Fresh Air Heating and Air Conditioning. www.freshairhvac.co. This here's been a Hollis production. Dag nabbit.